alien, I'm everyone's friend. Whichever world I go, I just blend. All languages I speak, no doubt I'm so unique. I listen to their stories, I share some of mine. And when I gain some knowledge, my antenna shines. I am an alien, I'm everyone's friend.
The Fox and the Grasshopper. Gugu once spotted a crow who was beaming with joy, and Gugu was curious to know why. So Gugu approached the crow and asked what is making him so happy, and he told Gugu that the wolf had come by a while ago and was all praise for its beauty. It had apparently told the crow that the crow had a flawless, unblemished complexion, and the crow was feeling very proud and happy for having received such a compliment. Gugu asked the crow if it would be interested in listening to a story, and the crow was willing to do so. So Gugu started telling how one day in a forest, the fox was feeling very hungry and was going all through the forest looking for food. He had been searching for food since morning and was very tired due to hunger. As he walked further, he came across a grasshopper sitting on the branch of a tree and singing. He now wanted to eat the grasshopper, but could not obviously climb a tree. So the fox quickly thought of an idea and called out to the grasshopper. He told the grasshopper that it has a very sweet and beautiful voice and that it sang very melodiously. The grasshopper was happy to hear that and thanked the fox for having paid such a generous compliment. The fox sensed that this is the best time to get hold of the grasshopper and started praising it all the more. It was evident that the grasshopper was beaming with happiness due to all that the fox was saying. The fox now came up with its wicked idea of eating up the grasshopper, and with that thought in mind, told the grasshopper that while it was singing very well, its voice sounded feeble. Having said that, the fox requested the grasshopper to come down and sit close to him while it sings so he could enjoy the song even better. The grasshopper did not like the idea because it was already aware that fox is a very cunning animal and always has some hidden agenda behind everything he says or does. So the grasshopper became wise and outright rejected the idea of the fox. It told the fox that it is not foolish to trust what it is being said, and very well knows that it will be the fox's food if it were to come down. The fox feels defeated and goes its way feeling miserable about how its plan had been unsuccessful. On the other hand, the grasshopper is happy about its wisdom and glad to have not let flattery affect its life. Gugu then told the crow that it is important to know who your friends are, as flattery is often deceptive. The fox without its tail. It had been a long time since Gugu had seen its friend the fox around. Gugu asked a few animals in the forest about the fox's well-being, but no one seemed to know. So Gugu visited the fox one evening, but the fox did not seem very welcoming. But Gugu would not let go of the fox until such time the fox narrated what happened. One day, the fox was walking through the woods when suddenly it heard a loud snapping sound and it sensed a sharp pain in its back. It could not even turn around, but knew that it was its tail that had got caught in a trap. It pained it terribly, but still the fox tried its best to free its tail from the trap. After it struggled a lot, it was able to free itself, but a portion of the tail was still stuck in the trap. As a result, the fox had a very small tail now as against its earlier bushy one. It felt extremely bad about what had happened and was feeling very low. The thought of what the other foxes might think of it was making it feel all the more sad. While thinking about this, it soon hit upon an idea. It called all the other foxes together for a meeting one day. This fox told them that it had cut off its tail on purpose, and the other foxes were quite surprised as to why anyone would do that. When questioned why the fox had taken this extreme step, the fox explained that it would get in its way if it were being chased by a dog. It even asked the other foxes how they would manage and told them that it would be such a bother as they would not know what to do with it, whether to wrap it around their face, sit on it, or leave it out for someone to trip over it. So, It said that it purposefully cut its tail, and it would make sense for all the other foxes also to cut off their tails and join the society of tailless foxes. All the foxes got together and discussed if what the fox is saying made sense. Then they decided that it was only trying to fool them. One old fox spoke up and told the tailless fox that they know this is being told to them out of a self-interest, as it is embarrassed for not having a tail. All the other foxes nodded in agreement, laughed off loudly, and walked away with their big bushy tails proudly pointing upwards. The fox learnt its lesson that it's not always easy to fool others. On hearing this, Gugu told the fox that it should use its cleverness to do good to others and not use it to fool others for its selfish motives. The Grasshopper and the Ants. One day, Gugu is flying around the woods in a UFO when he spots some ants running around busily. Gugu gets curious and approaches a frog nearby and asks why these ants are so busy and if there was a problem due to which they have been going about so swiftly. The frog then tells Gugu that there is no problem as such, and the ants just believe in making hay while the sun shines. He went on to narrate a recent incident to Gugu to make it understand better. On a warm spring day, a grasshopper was playing in the grass fields when he saw a line of ants marching along carrying some seeds. When asked where they were carrying the big load to, one ant said they were taking it to their nests. Being a beautiful day, the grasshopper called them to have fun with him. But the ants refused and instead told the grasshopper that he should work with them as it was going to be a long winter with lots of snow. They also guided him to store food right away. The grasshopper wondered why it had to worry about winter when it was still spring and lots of food was available everywhere. So, all spring, the grasshopper did nothing but eat, sleep, play, and gain weight. Summer set in and the grasshopper was sunbathing when it again saw the long line of ants going about busily. This time, they were carrying grains of wheat. On being asked where they were going with those grains of wheat, they replied that they were taking wheat to their nests to save for winter. They also advised the grasshopper to be doing the same, as the winter would be long and filled with snow. The grasshopper thought to itself that it had all the food it needed for now and did not see why it should be worried for winter when it is still summer. So all he did in summer was to eat, sleep, play, and become fat. One autumn evening, the grasshopper again noticed the long line of ants all carrying kernels of corn. When asked where they were going, they warned him that the winter would be long with lots of snow and he should also gather some corn like them. But the grasshopper replied that it was too much of work, and as winter was not yet there, he was confident to find some food when it comes. Weeks later, winter arrived. There was snow everywhere. As predicted by the ants, the snow was very deep, but as the ants had already gathered enough food, they had no problem. They were all snug in their nest with lots of good food to eat. Whereas the grasshopper had trouble finding food and had to stay hungry and very miserable all winter. By the time the winter ended, the grasshopper had learnt a valuable lesson. On listening to this incident, Gugu realizes how important it is for someone to begin work today if they wish to succeed tomorrow. The Owl and the Grasshopper. It was a cold winter afternoon, and all the animals in the forest were sleeping in their respective homes. Gugu was feeling bored, and he sat on a tree branch where he could hear someone singing from afar. It looked in all directions, but could not figure out where the song was coming from. Even as it kept wondering where the song came from, the sound of the song became louder and louder still. Far in the distance, Gugu spotted a tiny little grasshopper, at his cheerful best, singing songs in the winter and enjoying himself. He seemed quite oblivious to the cold and snow. In fact, he seemed to be enjoying himself. As he came closer to where Gugu was, there was a thick, long tree in which an owl had made himself a home. It was fast asleep, but the constant singing of the grasshopper cut right into his deep slumber, and the owl woke up. He was quite irritated with the sound. he began to wonder from where it was coming, as he could not quite get himself to believe that there would be anybody out there in the cold. The owl sleepily peered through the snow to find out who the singer could be, and saw the grasshopper down below continuing to sing. "What a nuisance," the owl muttered to itself. He wanted to stop him and so called out to it and asked if it were crazy to dance out in the cold. The owl even suggested that the grasshopper go home. The grasshopper stopped his singing midway and asked the owl if it disturbs its sleep and pretended to apologize for having made such a noise. Saying that, the grasshopper suggested that the owl goes back to sleep. The owl soon went back to sleep and dozed off. After the owl had fallen asleep, the naughty grasshopper again started to sing. He was being mischievous and had decided to irritate the owl. The owl woke up from its sleep and thought that if it does not think of a way to stop this grasshopper, it will be staying awake for a long time. So he right away came up with a plan. It flattered the grasshopper that it sings really well and asked if it could come closer and sing. The grasshopper unsuspectingly went closer, only to be eaten by the owl. Gugu, who was watching all this, concluded that anger is a sign that something should change. The Sly Fox. One day, a large piece of meat was lying in the middle of the forest. Gugu was walking in the forest when it noticed that a cat and a dog who were walking around also fixed their eyes on the piece of meat. Both a cat and a dog saw it at the same time and started running towards it. They started quarreling over who the meat should belong to once both of them reached the place. The dog said that it was him who saw the meat first, and hence it should be given to him. But the cat demanded that the meat is his, as he reached the place first. Neither of them were willing to compromise, and the fight got louder and worse by the moment. Just then, a fox was passing by that side. When she saw the dog and the cat quarreling with each other, she went up to them and tried to pacify them. She asked them what the matter was, and on learning the reason, asked the dog and the cat to stop fighting. The fox told them that all they had to do was to tear the meat into half, and each of them could have one half of the meat. So saying, the Sly Fox slit the meat into two unequal halves. On seeing the two unequal pieces, the fox pretended to think for a moment. Then she told the dog and the cat that she has an idea to set right the unequal halves. She took a bite from the bigger piece of the meat and ate it. When she had finished, she looked at the other piece and said that the smaller piece was now bigger in size. Hence she took another bite from the piece which was now bigger than the originally big one. This went on until such time that the fox had eaten away all of the meat. Then the fox turned to the dog and the cat, pretending to apologize for having eaten the meat completely. It then turns and goes its way. The cat turns towards the dog and says that it would have been better if they had shared it and eaten the meat. At least they would have got to taste it. They both learn a lesson that the quarrel between two benefits a third. Gugu was watching all this and on seeing what happened, made up his mind to never quarrel with anyone over such silly matters. It even thought that it is better to share what you have so that at least you get to taste a portion of what is available.